Okay, this afternoon let's do something interesting. Let's write a Hello World program, our first program for this junior. I'll show you how to generate the program and get it transferred onto this junior and execute it. And then we'll do something with a little twist at the end. First we'll power up this junior. So you see that it booted up, and we'll connect it to the network. Let me just make sure that we've got, yep, we do have a network connection there. Okay, no big deal. That's the junior. Let's go on to the desktop. And over here, we're going to need a couple of things. One is, I'm going to develop the application in Java, and for that we need a copy of NetBeans. So we've downloaded that. This is free. We need the support tool, only at this point because it's the way we know how to transfer a file onto the junior. You could use another FTP client if you had one, for instance, but we'll use the support tool. And we'll need the Janus runtime jar. This contains the runtime class libraries that the Java program will use to execute on the Janus, under Janus. And these are for version 1.5 Janus, and if you're not running version 1.5, you should update to version 1.5. We highly recommend that. And if you don't have an update project for that purpose, you can use the Janus 1.5 UPD file, which is also available from Integ, and do that separately. So let's go into NetBeans and write a simple Hello World program. So we're going to create a project, new project, and it's, these are Java applications, and we're going to call it Hello, H-E-L-L-O. Okay. That's all you have to do when you finish. And it uses a template to create the main for that program. Now, when we compile this program, we want the compiler to build it with the intent of executing it on the junior, and it needs to only have and only use the class library, the classes that are available in the class library, the runtime class library on the junior under Janus. So we have to go into the project properties, right click on here, properties, and use that Janus runtime jar as the primary library. So first we add the jar or folder. It's right there. And since this Janus runtime jar contains the Java doc and some source information, we use it, and I will edit this to indicate that it also contains the Java doc and the source. Now I'm going to copy that path file specification to the clipboard, Control C. I'll use it again in a moment, you'll see. Now, if you don't have Janus runtime.jar, you could build with the Janus classes.jar that's available in the Etsy folder on the junior. Now you can upload that from the junior and use it here, build your project against it. That Janus classes.jar does not have the Java doc in it, so your IDE won't be able to give you as much information about the various methods and classes that are available. So if you can get a hold of the Janus runtime jar, and we'll send it to you if you can't find it on the website, you would prefer to use this. Okay, one other thing though is we need to tell the compiler that, hey, you're to compile only against this class library. So you set the boot class path to the one and only Janus runtime jar. Okay, now there's one other thing that you need to do in NetBeans at least to avoid confusion when you're navigating around the classes while you're developing code. And the only way I've learned to deal with it is to modify the project property directly, and that one is this endorsed class path. Okay, I like to set the endorsed class path to exactly that jar. This tells the IDE that everything it shows you needs to come out of here, and it certainly cleans up any potential confusion. You don't want to be looking at something that's part of the class library, the runtime library that's associated with JRE, the version that NetBeans loaded when you downloaded that. So we save that. Okay, now we're ready to go. Let's have our program do something, and what we'll do is we'll have it type and print hello world. There we go, exclamation point. I'm sure that most of you guys have done this once or twice in the past, and that's the program we want to execute. That's our first attempt. Let's compile it. It's building the hello.jar, and it's finished. Now, there's a hello.jar that we need to move on to the JNIOR. To do that, we're going to use the support tool. One way to do it through the support tool, and this is the JNIOR, it's sitting over here under the camera. One way to do that is to right-click on this and use the FTP tool. If we open the FTP, it'll open up a folder. Then we'll have to navigate and find the hello.jar and drag it over into that folder. It'll transfer it onto the JNIOR where we'd like to place it and do the job for us. There is a bit of a secret that I'll let you in on right here, that a tool that's available, and it's not listed here under tools. So if I hold down the shift key though and click on tools, this show upload tab option appears, and if you click on that, we have this upload tab. Now, if you've used this upload tab before, there would be history in here. There's not any history because we haven't used it before. But what we're going to upload, we want to add a file. We want to add this hello.jar file from the hello dist folder in NetBeans. And there it is. And if we right-click on this, it'll give us the option to move it to either of our two JNIORs. This is the one we want to move to. And it's best to put these things in the flash folder. We can put the program just about anywhere, but if we put it in the temporary folder, when the JNIOR reboots, the program will disappear. If we put it in the web folder or any other folder, we'll have to specify the path to the program in order to run it. A very nice aspect of things, if we put programs in the flash folder, we don't have to specify the path because Janus looks there by default for these programs. We can just use the program name to execute it. So let's do that. We'll put it in the flash folder. Now that JNIOR over there has a default administrator account, JNIOR, and using the default password. So we don't need to enter anything here. We just say OK. And we see that it transferred. There's a record of the transfer here. And later we can come back here and just double click this transfer to repeat it. And we'll do that after we modify our program. Now we need to execute the program, and one way we'll do that is by going into the command line using the telnet here. JNIOR. And our program should be in the flash folder. So let's take a look what's in the flash folder. Dear flash. And it's called hello. So let's just look at programs that start with H, right? -L. There we go. Here it is, the hello jar. We uploaded it. Fine. Okay, let's execute it. Type hello. And there you go. Hello world. It worked exactly as we had expected. Okay. Well, I'd like to give you a little twist right now. Rather than leave the program the way it is, let's go back to NetBeans. And instead of outputting hello world to the console, let's use a different function. In fact, let's create a program that uses a method in the Janus class, and that method would be, we go down here, right here, Morse status LED. Display Morse code message using the status LED. And that's that orange LED that we see flash when the unit boots. So let's do that. That ought to be interesting. And the message we're going to output, let's get it from the command line. And if this is the number of times the message repeats. If we leave that at 0, the message will repeat ad infinitum. And we're just going to want to repeat it once. And since this program would be unhappy if we neglected to provide a parameter, we should just make sure the parameter exists like that. So now, if there's an argument, at least one argument, we'll take the first argument and transmit it in Morse code using the orange status LED. And there you go. That's our new program. So let's try that. Compile it. It's building. It's finished. Go back to support tool in the upload. And I said if you double click here, it'll repeat. Password hasn't changed. Okay, bang, it did transfer. It stacks up another transfer for us. And you get some statistics here too. The size of the program file that was transferred and the target host file information right there. Back over here, now we'll execute the program. Hello, I'll use up arrow to get back to the previous command line. And we need to specify the parameter now, hello world. So now let's take a look over here at the status LED, which is right here next to the blue power LED, and see what happens if I execute this. So if you're good at copying, if you ever had any experience copying Morse code, you might have been able to read that. Certainly anyone that's experienced with Morse code might be interested in any comments on the timing. If we can make the message clearer for you, I'd like to be able to do that. But it does in fact use Morse code with standard timings to get the message across. Now, we'll repeat that. While that's repeating, just again, up arrow brings up the last thing. You can keep using up arrow, by the way, to go back in time, look at all the commands that you've entered, and reissue another one. But we'll reissue this one, and while that flashes the result, I just say that you could use this to output, say, the IP address of a unit, and you can make the program do that, say, every few minutes, and execute the program using a run key, so it's always running. So you could have units periodically, or at the top of the hour, or whenever you'd like to do that, signal their IP address, and that might be another way to identify a unit. So there you have it, Morse code. Could also be useful, I suppose, for an error message. That's a no.